This is my quickie recipe for no-fail, first-time bread rolls. No mixer or bread machine required. They're simple but very tasty, soft, fluffy, slightly buttery with just a hint of sweetness. What's really special about this recipe is that I have designed all the steps to be really easy, even for novices. If you have never made bread, or if you have tried with no success, this is the recipe for you. Start with 60 grams of hot boiling water. Add to that 100 grams of cold milk straight out of the fridge. The temperature of the liquids together should feel just slightly warm. 10 grams of sugar. 1½ teaspoon of yeast. I like using instant, but dry active is okay too. Stir to dissolve the yeast. It's not necessary to wait until it foams. Add 125 grams of flour at this point. I will add more later. I'm using all-purpose flour, but you can use bread flour or half and half if you wish. Stir to form a batter. Here I have 20 grams of melted butter. I add most of it, about 15 grams, to the mixture, saving just a little bit to brush onto the rolls later. Stir it in. This is also a good time to stir in the salt. I use a little over ½ teaspoon, but actually I forgot at this point, so I will have to add that later. 125 grams of flour. And I sprinkle over the salt that I forgot earlier. Stir to form a dough. Usually I find some dry bits at the bottom of the bowl. I add 1 teaspoon of water to help incorporate. This is a soft and sticky dough. Kneading is probably the most challenging part for beginners. I have a very easy system to take care of this. Lay down a piece of plastic wrap. I use 2 layers because mine is very thin. Lightly brush it over with vegetable oil. Place the dough on top. Press with the plastic to flatten it out. Fold over a third, press. Fold over the other third and press. Repeat with the other sides. I like to fold in thirds a few times and fold in half a few times, but it doesn't really matter, just fold and press. After just 3 or 4 folds, I can already feel the dough really tighten up and become bouncy. Work on it for 2 to 3 minutes. It's very slightly tacky, but fairly smooth, and I can handle it okay. I want to shape it into a log. Press it to flatten, fold in thirds, wrap up like a sausage, stretch out left and right. Open up and fold in half again. Now I have a long, thin log. Pinch the seam if need to. I use a lightly oiled dinner knife to cut. Cut into 8 portions for dinner rolls. If making burger buns, I cut into 5 or 6. Cut straight down without dragging the knife, so I don't cut through the plastic. If one piece is too big, it's okay to just cut a bit off of one and add to another. Place them far apart with the seam side down. If your place is very warm, you can leave them on the worktop to proof. Brush on a little oil. Cover with another piece of plastic wrap and maybe also a tea towel on top. My worktop is not warm enough, so I put the whole lot on the tray, cover, and leave in the warm spot to proof for about 25 to 35 minutes. The dough pieces have grown, roughly doubled. Press to deflate. Flip it over. The bottom side is a bit moist with little bubbles. Do a tri-fold and pat out into a square-ish shape. Doesn't need to be perfect. If you find them sticky, dab a little bit of oil on your fingers. Fold the corners into the center. Fold the corners in again. Grab the middle and pull up the seams like a drawstring bag. This forms a little ball. Another closer look. This is a very easy dough to work with. Soft, pliable, and not too tacky. You can make all sorts of filled or topped or shaped breads with it. I have lined the baking tray with foil and brushed with vegetable oil. Place the dough ball in the tray with the seam side down. I cover with the plastic wrap that was used for kneading. It's still well greased, so it won't stick to the dough. Leave somewhere warm to proof again for 25 to 35 minutes. Before the end of proving time, turn the oven on to preheat to 220 degrees Celsius or 200 for fan oven. The dough balls have grown, not as much as doubled. Place in the preheated oven and immediately turn the temperature down to 180 degrees Celsius or 160 for fan oven. Bake for 13 to 16 minutes. Here they are. I brush on the butter that I saved from earlier. This is optional. It makes the crust a little bit softer. Transfer them onto a wire rack. They are best served warm or at least within the same day. Here is one that was made the day before. It's still soft with a nice flavor, but the texture is a little bit drier. You can heat them up in the oven for a few minutes and they'll be very yummy again. Thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Please feel free to leave any questions or comments below. There will be more easy, quirky baking recipes to come.